Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
To Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai Aniekan coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the major stories. Federal government targets 15 million out-of-school children for enrollment by 2027. Federal government resumes payment of arrears for N-Power beneficiaries. Plus, 13 foreign nationals, over 20 wounded in Prague University shooting. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. Our first report this afternoon is that the federal government has expressed commitment to return 15 million out-of-school children back to the classroom by 2027. The Minister of Education, Tahir Mamman, disclosed this in Abuja at a one-day retreat on quick wins in the Ministerial Deliverables 2023-2027. Mamman explains that the learning crisis had also been a major issue, which he said was a bad product of the out-of-school menace, hence must be taken seriously. Meanwhile, he said having robust policies in place was not enough to tackle the challenges, but delivering on the policies would go a long way in addressing the problems of out-of-school children. In the meantime, a delegation of the federal government led by Senior Special Assistant to the President on School Feeding, Yetunde Adeniji, has said a scheduled visit to Osun State following the food poisoning incident that involved 18 pupils of James Primary School, Osogbo. In a statement released by her media team, Adeniji said the visit was a fact-finding one to get abreast with updates on the purported food poisoning on December 12 under the state government's homegrown school feeding program. Meanwhile, the visit comes barely 1 week after the state government commenced a probe into the circumstances surrounding the midday meal served to the pupils under the Osun Free School Feeding program. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced the mechanical completion of rehabilitation work on Area 5 plant of the Port Harcourt Refining Company in Rivers State. It said the first phase of the plant had been completed as the facility would start refining 60,000 barrels of crude oil after the Christmas break. Reports say about 170 liters of refined petroleum product can be obtained from a barrel of crude oil. This implies that the 60,000 barrels per day production from the Port Harcourt refinery can provide an estimated 10.2 million liters of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, and other refined products. In a separate development, the federal government has resumed payment of arrears to beneficiaries of the Empower program. Recall that the beneficiaries were being owed some month's salaries by the former President Muhammadu Buhari administration. Speaking in an interview, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, said the payment of arrears to beneficiaries, which was started yesterday, will continue until the last person is paid. Meanwhile, Edu added that the Empower scheme is restructured to ensure that unemployment is reduced and jobs created. From the Green Chambers now, the House of Representatives has invited the immediate past Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, for questioning over the controversial national air carrier Nigeria Air in a motion sponsored by Tegia Dixon on the floor of the House at yesterday's plenary. The Green Chamber noted that in 2016, the former aviation minister proposed an aviation roadmap with national carrier as the signature project, aiming to deliver it to Nigerians by the end of the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The lawmaker said the House is aware that the last administration spent billions of naira ostensibly to acquire the said new national carrier, but the status of the project remains unclear, regardless of billions of taxpayers' funds utilized on the project. Still out of the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the exorbitant amounts charged by point-of-sale POS operators for withdrawal of money. Reports say the resolution to probe the operators followed a motion moved by Mohammed Shehu. Shehu lamented the high charges by the operators, stating that some POS owners charge as much as 4,000 naira to withdraw 10,000 naira. The lawmaker said POS operators are now literally selling banknotes to customers, noting that the government has the power to regulate the activities of the operators. Following the presentation, the House resolved its committees on banking regulations and digital and electronic banking should investigate. On aviation matters, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has appointed new directors for civil aviation agencies in the country 1 week after the federal government sacked all directors and chief executive officers of the agency. A spokesman for the ministry, Odutayo Oluseyi, said the fresh appointments were in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Meanwhile, the concerned agencies include the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, and the Nigeria Safety and Investigation Bureau, NSIB. On military matters, the Nigerian Army Council has promoted a total of 47 brigadier generals to major generals and 75 colonels to the rank of brigadier general. Reports say their promotion is coming after the retirement of 113 generals. Meanwhile, the Director, Army Public Relations Onyema Nwachukwu, said the council approved the promotions of the senior officers and noted that the Chief of Army Staff, Tarid Lakwaja, urged them to redouble their efforts to justify their elevation and the confidence reposed in them. In another development, the National Orientation Agency has commended the Nigerian police for swiftly disowning, arresting and dismissing 2 special constables who attempted to extort a Dutch power bike cyclist from the force. Recall that the dismissal was announced by the Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Hamzat Adebola, at the police headquarters in Eyele, Ibadan. Meanwhile, the 2 special constables identified as Jimon Lukman and Karim Fatai were captured in a viral video recently soliciting money from a Dutch tourist traveling to Abuja on a power bike. We move now to Africa, where France has decided to close its embassy in Niger, where it is no longer able to function normally or carry out its missions. According to diplomatic sources, this confirms a split between the two countries. Reports say this extremely rare measure comes after Niamey announced on December the 12th the departure of all French soldiers deployed in Nigeria as part of the anti-jihadist efforts by December 22, which is this Friday. Meanwhile, this marks the culmination of strained relations between France and Niger since the generals took power in Niamey during a coup on July 26. Still in Africa, Moscow's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said Russia is ready to supply more grain to Tunisia. Lavrov said this during a visit to the North African country, grappling with shortages fueled by drought. At a meeting with Tunisian President Kais Saied in the capital Tunis, Lavrov said Russia's crop yields had been good for the second or third year in a row, and that it was willing to help Tunisia. Meanwhile, over the past 4 years, Tunisia has been plagued by a drought which dealt a major blow to its last grain season. On the foreign scene, authorities have revealed that 14 foreign nationals were killed and more than 20 others wounded after a student opened fire at a university in Prague. Prague Police Chief Martin Vonzek said the bloodshed took place yesterday in the Philosophy Department building of Charles University, where the shooter was a student, adding that the gunman also died. Meanwhile, Vonzek said in the evening that 14 people had died and 25 were wounded, after earlier reporting that 15 had died and 24 were hurt, warning that the death toll could rise. Still on the foreign scene, China has released draft guidelines today aimed at curbing excessive spending on online gaming. Reports say this is the latest move by the ruling Communist Party to keep control of the virtual economy. Meanwhile, the proposal caused shares in the biggest Chinese gaming companies, Tencent and NetEase, to plunge in Hong Kong. Still to come in the news. 31 players facing suspension ahead of Christmas fixtures. Stay tuned for details of this and more after the break.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, crude prices have slumped after Angola quit the OPEC oil cartel, while Wall Street stocks rebounded after a streak of records was snapped.
Angola has announced
the price of the main international and U.S. crude contracts dropped more than 1.5% after Angola said it was leaving, as it did not want to go along with further production cuts that OPEC and 10 Russian-led allies agreed last month. Meanwhile, in an effort to prop up prices, the OPEC Plus alliance has implemented supply cuts of more than 5 million barrels per day since the end of 2022. Still in business, the National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that only 12% of workers in Nigeria were in wage employment as of the end of the second quarter of 2023. This was contained in a report titled Nigeria Labor Force Statistics Reports Quarter 2 2023, which was released on Thursday by the NBS. The report said 88% of workers in the country are self-employed. Meanwhile, the total unemployment rate in the period stood at 4.2% as of quarter 2 2022. In health, the World Health Organization has added that R21 Matrix M malaria vaccine to its list of pre-qualified vaccines. Recall that in October 2023, the WHO recommended the use of the vaccine for the prevention of the disease in children, following the advice of the WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization and the Malaria Policy Advisory Group. Meanwhile, the pre-qualification means larger access to vaccines as a key tool to prevent malaria in children, with it being a prerequisite for vaccine procurement by UNICEF and funding support for deployments by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Still in health, pediatric experts have advised nursing mothers to desist from breastfeeding sleeping babies to avoid the danger of aspirating the food. Aspiration is when food, liquid or other substances accidentally, enter the airway or lungs. According to the National Institute of Health, foreign body aspiration is a major cause of coincidental death in children less than 1 year old and the cause of death in 7% of children under the age of 4. Meanwhile, foreign body aspiration accounted for more than 17,000 emergency department visits and caused 220 deaths in children aged 14 years or younger. In sports, over 30 players in the Premier League are at risk of receiving a one-match suspension for the Boxing Day fixtures after being shown 4 yellow cards to date. Reports say the final round of games before Christmas Day takes place between Thursday and Sunday, with 18 teams in action. Players will receive a one-match ban if they pick up 5 yellow cards before the 20th round of fixtures. And those who receive 10 cautions before match day 33 will serve a 2-game ban. Meanwhile, Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria and Egypt are the top 5 teams on the continent. Still in sports, Liverpool and Arsenal will battle for the Christmas #1 spot when they meet on Saturday. Reports say if there is not a winner at Anfield, third place Aston Villa could be top at Christmas for the first time since 1999, should their phenomenal home form continue against bottom of the table Sheffield United. Meanwhile, if the Gunners win at Anfield, Pep Guardiola's men, currently in 4th spot, will find themselves 8 points adrift by the time they return to top flight action at Everton on December 27. On our entertainment news, one of the pendants of singer Mario Kun, which was stolen in Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, on Tuesday, has been recovered. Recall that the singer had gone to the state to perform at the 2023 Calabar Carnival on the invitation of the state. Government taking to social media After his performance, Mariokun claimed that his jewelry worth millions of naira was stolen. On Wednesday, one of the jewelry was found and he took to his social media page to pledge a 5 million naira reward for anyone who returns the second one. Giving an update on the incident on Thursday evening, singer Inyanya announced that the second jewelry had been returned. Still on entertainment, Shatta Well has criticized his fellow Ghanaian musicians advocating for a reduction of Nigerian music on Ghana's airwaves. In a series of exposed, he expressed his belief that even if Ghanaian media implemented the local content policy, Nigerian music would still overshadow them. Meanwhile, he added that the policy won't have much effect in the streaming era as the government can't force Ghanaians to stream Ghanaian music even if the local content policy is implemented for airplay. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai Aneka. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon.